Okay, cool, we're live. That was perfect timing. You always go live just as one person's walking in. So it almost seems like we're waiting for you. So I'll say we were, why not, right? And you. So, welcome to OnSet. We are live on YouTube, that's who I was talking to, just in case you can follow that. I'm Daniel Norton. This is Dave. We got Seth over here on the mix. And we got Emily, here's our model. So today, I think I started saying what date it was. That's going to be a new thing that I do. So this is the 19th of October, right? Halloween is next week-ish, maybe a week and a half. Should be fun. You want trick-or-treating? Probably. Why not, right?
I'm going together.
Exactly. You got to just find some kids to take with, my nieces, nephews, whatever, so you can actually go get the free candy. That's what I do. There you go. Anyways, we're going to do what I think I'm doing the right thing, simple beauty photography. So today's going to be beauty photography, and we're going to just do some really kind of basic stuff. Obviously, with beauty, you can get into some really complex things with really complicated makeup and hair and stuff. We're just going really super simple. Emily's wearing just natural makeup, her hair pulled back. She's a blonde today. You actually have been a blonde probably the last couple times, so people don't know what I'm talking about when I say that. She has been other hair colors in the past. And yeah, we're gonna go like that. My plan is to go through 3 of the most common things that I use for beauty. And we'll work through each one and we'll talk about each one a little bit. We'll take a couple shots and this is as always interactive. So if you have questions or comments or whatever, please let me know online or here. By the way, if you don't know this, we stream every Thursday on YouTube. So we prefer if you come because then you can actually ask me in person. And Facebook at 3. So after you leave here, if you have to go back to work or something, go on your Facebook at 3 o'clock. We'll be doing it again. Usually at 3 o'clock. I know what I'm doing by then. So no, I'm just kidding. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, we do basically the same thing but different. So if you do want to, or obviously you can hang out for both if you'd like as well. Go for lunch in between, socialize. We might hang out after on my YouTube, if that's what you want to do. Yeah, maybe at 4:30 we're going to go on my YouTube, my Facebook, which is Daniel Norton Photographer, and me and Seth basically tells me all the stuff I did wrong. So if you want to know his opinion, believe me. So anyways, I will try to say all the equipment I'm using as I go through, although I often forget. So if you want to know what I'm using, please ask, and I shall tell you. I am using a Canon camera today. It is the 1DX.
Not 51.
Apparently I said it wrong in a video, and yeah, so now I've been getting a lot of junk for that. It is not the 1DX, it is the D1. No, it is the 1DX, not the 1. It's a camera, sorry Canon, but it's a tool. So anyways, I am using the Canon camera. It's very nice. It's wonderful. And the 7200 zoom. I'm using the 7200 zoom because I want to use a relatively long lens for beauty. And this is kind of my long lens. I have an 85 and I have this. So this will be my long lens. I don't think I'll quite go to 200 in here. I don't think I have enough space. But I will probably use a bit of a longer lens. And actually, I was just talking about this on Monday. We did a little quick live thing where Dave was the model. And I talked about using different lenses for different things. And it was that a lot of times for portraiture, people are using wider and wider lenses. For beauty, though, I still think the standard is to use a bit of a longer lens. A longer lens is going to allow you to stand back from your subject. Standing back from your subject will compress everything, which will make noses seem less long. It'll keep the ears so they don't go back too far. It keeps the head more flat, which is generally what you want. Yes.
Is that 70 to 200, a 2.8 or a 4?
Yeah, this is the 70 to 200, 2.8.
Yeah.
I think it's Mark II.
Yeah,
It's the new one. It has it's the 2.8. I don't think I'll shoot at 2.8, but maybe we will. I rarely shoot at 2.8 or wide open on lenses when I'm in the studio because I like to keep everything in focus because if somebody moves, stuff like that, interacting even in portraits, but also especially in beauty because oftentimes in beauty you want to get the whole head in focus because you might be doing the hair, and that kind of stuff. So I generally shoot around f8, which is where we'll start. And the first thing we want to do whenever you're in a studio situation or any kind of situation where you're lighting something and you don't want any of the available light to affect your shot. So things like this, where studio stuff, we're in charge of it. If you were shooting, let's say, an event, wouldn't be the same case. I want to set my camera so that if I make a photo, none of the light in the room will affect my shot. And there's a simple formula for that. You basically set your camera at the lowest ISO it goes to within its normal range, which is 100 on this camera. You set your shutter speed at the highest shutter speed it goes within the normal range for synchronization, which is 250 for this camera. There is such a thing as high-speed sync, which we probably won't talk about, which would allow you to go over, but not every flash can do it, blah, blah. So 250 is where we want to be. The final thing, which is your aperture, that's going to be determined by where you are and how bright it is, and also kind of what you want the shot to look like. But like I said, I like to shoot this around f8, so I'm just going to start there. And what I'll do is I'm in capture 1 here. I'm tethered in with this Tether Tools cable, which, by the way, I just got the one with the right angle on it. If you guys use these Tether Tools cables, man, right angle cable, yes, so convenient. So anyways, I'm tethered in. I'm just going to use the capture 1 to take a picture, which I just did. And we can see that the frame came up black. And I'm looking at it here, right? I got my black frame. I'm going to go over to my adjustments. This is just like if you were messing with the photo in like Photoshop or whatever. I have all kinds of things I can do. And I'm going to grab my exposure slider and just drag it over until I can see it. So there she pops up like around 2.5 stops. So that tells me I'm about 2.5 stops underexposed. That's pretty good, right? You want to keep that as much as possible, 2 stops, 3 stops, if you can, because that's going to allow you room in your shadows if you want to pull back detail in post. And since we're going to shoot fairly contrasted today, I might want to do that. So that's probably a pretty good amount. If I was only, let's say, 1 stop underexposed and I started pulling my shadows back too much, they'd start to get a different color because the light in the room is tungsten and I'm going to be using a flash. All right, so now that we've established that, does that all make sense?
What is your color in your?
Oh, my white balance? Good question. It's set on flash. Should be anyways.
Okay.
That is a good question, though. Yep, it's set on flash. So I'm using flash, so I set it on flash. Simple as that. I am shooting raw. If you're doing this professionally, like for a job, you should shoot a color calibration card, because in beauty photography, which is often has to do with makeup, you want to make sure that the color is correct. So flash is going to be as correct as possible, but remember that light bounces around. So this floor is green, you know, Dave's jacket's gray, although that doesn't have any color in it, so Dave's jacket was orange or something. Like, things might bounce off of it. So doing a color calibration is going to help you to ensure everything stays the same. Also, your lighting tools could be certain softboxes render colors warmer or cooler. So doing a custom color is usually a good idea. So for the first setup, I want a beauty dish because it's beauty photography. Like, why wouldn't I use a beauty dish? It's like what it's made for, right? That's why they call it a beauty dish. This is a silver one. It does have a nice dent in it. I recommend you dent all your beauty dishes when you first get them. It makes a nicer look. So no, it does have a dent in it, but I don't think it'll do much. It's silver. Silver is going to be, it's going to cause more specularity. Specularity is the opposite of diffusion. Specularity has to do with highlights. It's going to make my highlights brighter, right? If I was shooting some of that, like let's say that milk makeup, which is really popular now, which is really shiny, this is not the right thing. This is going to blow those highlights to all hell. She's pretty matte. To my eye right now, she's not going to be matte when I shoot her with this. Her highlights are all going to pop, but I kind of want that. I want to go for that look at least to start with. So generally speaking, I like to use what they call a butterfly lighting for beauty. That is keeping the light centered on the model. So we are using a C-stand, and Dave's going to boom it out so that it's kind of overhead and centered in front of her. We are going to use a sandbag, of course. Yeah, I'll do that. Questions so far about that? Well, you know, I turned off the mic. I had a frog in my throat. People don't really say that anymore. I'm going to bring that back. Where do you think that came from originally? I've never had a frog in my throat, so I don't. Maybe that is what it feels like. So yeah, he's got the beauty dish boomed out in front. It's going to be more or less right over the lens. We're going to move it in relatively close. I am not going to worry too much about the background for this. We're mostly focusing on the light on her. We'll try to make it look pretty nice, but I'm not going to go crazy light in the background. In an ideal world, when you're shooting beauty, when you're shooting anything in the studio, you want to have as much space as possible. Having more space would give us the ability to light our background completely separately. I think with the beauty dish, we'll probably get some light on the background at this distance, but not a whole heck of a lot. So,
We are open. Do you want to go grid?
no, let's start with open new. So this is just a beauty dish. Before we bring it up, I'll just look to make sure it's in 2A. Okay. So I'm using the ProPhoto flash system. This is the B1X. Said that right? Or is it X? Yeah. So, yep. So that's in 2A. So there's different groups. So I want to make sure my channel matches, which is 2. And A, I'm just going to test fire it to make sure that I'm, yep, it's working. Okay. But before you get a light up on a boom, make sure it works. Cool. So I'm there. This does have the capability of what's called TTL, or through the lens metering. That's going to allow me to essentially use the light meter in my camera to make my base exposure. And then I will use what's called exposure lock, which means I flip to manual and everything stays where it is, and I'll make my final adjustments. The thing with TTL is sometimes it's like perfect and other times it's a little bit off, just like anything else. You know, anytime you use a light meter, it's always giving you what it thinks is the right exposure, which is not necessarily what you think is the right exposure.
Are we out of the thing?
I think you are going to be, okay, so Dave's moving the light a little higher. More, okay, right there. All right, he's out now. Cool. So he's putting it, the trick here with almost all lighting is you want to put it as close as possible. Putting light close is going to give you more control over where it falls. It's also going to make the light softer. Softer light is generally nicer. Softer light is going to give you a little bit more diffuse shadows. It's going to open your shadows up a bit. So we want the light to be as big as possible. We can do that by getting it close. So one trick is if you have somebody helping you, or even if you don't, you can run back and forth and do it yourself, is to have, put the light basically in the shot and then just keep raising it up until it comes out. All right, so I'm in TTL and I'm gonna take us to a really basic shot. Here we go. Boom. Aha! It's a little bit hot, as expected. So my distance from Emily is about 6 feet, and the flight's maybe like 1.5 feet. So, and she's only about maybe 3 feet from the wall, which is probably too close, but it's what we got. So I'm gonna now, since that's a bit hot, down 2 stops. Remember that when you're using TTL, test shot, when you're using TTL, that it sees the shot, right? So here she is, and it wants to light the whole shot up, and this wall is further behind her, right? So since she's closer, she's getting a bit popped, overexposed. You could, if you really needed to nail it every time, like in an event or something, I usually put it on spot metering, but here I just leave it on the regular meter and do a quick adjustment, which I just did, and that seems properly exposed. Now, one thing you'll see here, and this is common when you put the light so close to somebody, is that the light's at a bit of an angle, right? I don't want to put the light flat like this because it won't hit her. So the light's at a bit of an angle, which means that, and her head is flat, right? So, where's the camera so I can show? There we go. So basically what ends up happening is more light hits the top of her head, right? So we can see the top of her head is brighter. So what we want to do is if she turns her head, so she brings her chin up basically to match the angle of the light, we should get more even light distribution across her face. Even is going to be our friend here. Right? Now we have more even light distribution. So if you don't want the person to have their chin up, you got to put the light so it's not at an angle. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So that's going to give us nice even light distribution, really, really fast fall off. Like you can see her neck is considerably darker down here, even where the light hits it. And nice shadow here. And again, it's a hard-ish light, I like to say, because it doesn't have a sudden edge here, but it's pretty quick transition area, right? So I'm not using handheld light meter because there's a meter in my camera that I'm using via the TTL system. If you didn't have TTL, what you would do is figure out your camera settings like we did at the beginning, and then you would just meter the light and then adjust the light accordingly until you got what you wanted.
Spot metering on TTL gives you more of a direct.
Yeah, it'll meter off the exact thing you're metering on. So like, let's say her skin tone, as opposed to trying to get the whole scene. So it can be very useful for some things. It's especially useful if something's really heavily backlit. I'll do that. But generally, I leave my metering on the standard metering. Because I'm shooting in a studio, I have time to, I know I'm going to have to adjust it anyways. I always adjust. I very, very rarely, no matter how accurate that first shot looks, I very rarely use exactly the way the meter does it. I always make some adjustment based on how I like it. Because I want to keep my skin nice and bright, but I don't want to lose detail, right? So I want to come in here where like you can just see I'm right at the edge here. If I use my little dropper, right, that's how you do it. You can see my numbers right here. You see the numbers up there? Well, you can't see it if I point at it, but you can see them up there at the top of the screen. And we can see that, you know, all 255s would be white, right? So we're getting close. We're like pretty close here. But I think we're still good for the most part.
We're really, maybe.
I mean, maybe like 1/10 of a stop or 2/10 of a stop just to be safe if I want to bring it down, which is what I would do. And again, I can do that right from my controller. So I'm going to go, I'm going to minus 2/10, and I'll do another test shot, right? There it is. Bam. You know, now we have nice skin tone up on the forehead, right? So these are all my preliminary shots to get myself ready. You probably notice that I'm not taking a long time getting everything properly composed through the camera every time I do the test shots. I tell them all the test shots. She just has to be in the right spot. We're not going too crazy here.
Pull back a tiny bit with the light.
Yeah, we could back the light up a
more coverage.
smidge, yeah, to get a little more coverage because we are getting cut off here. So just because we can, we're going to back the light up, get a little bit more light like down on her chest area. Because at this moment, it's a little bit like white face dark, which you might want to go for. But if we want to get like more of her neck, we just back the light up. And that's about coverage. And again, right now we're establishing our setup. Dave just backed the light off, so I'm going to put it back in TTL because I don't know how the exposure changed. It's actually slightly in the shot, but you can leave it there. It's fine. I'm going to zoom in a smidge. Good, good, good. Here we go, focusing. All right, and again, it's probably going to be, yep, bright as expected. Switch to manual. Okay, do another test. There we go.
So they're asking if you're using the meter in the camera, isn't it reflections?
Yeah, so the meter in the camera is in fact a reflected meter. This is a question we had online versus an incident meter. So an incident meter reads the amount of light falling on a subject. Reflected reads the amount of light bouncing back. That's basically the difference.
That's what TTL's doing.
Yeah. So that's actually I think that's a smidge dark for me. So I'm going to go a tiny bit more on my light. I like to. Yeah, I like to really, yeah, there we go, it's better. So now again, I'm just checking. Well, if I had the right tool, I would check. There we go. Yeah. The pointer can do it as well. There it is. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I mean, you know. Yeah, nothing looks crazy. Whoa. Oh, that's cool. All right. Learned a new thing there. All right, cool. All right. Nice, right? Nice and even, nice and simple. The one thing we may want to do here, just because, is we do have it's kind of dark under her chin, right? We might want to bring a little bit of light in under her chin. We can do that via a reflector. I think we have one of those special Seth reflectors. Seth makes these in Brooklyn. So they're custom made. If you guys, $300 on sale. So we're going to use the reflector to bounce light up under her chin. So when you're doing that, you just want to make sure, obviously, that the light is going to hit the reflector. If I put the reflector down here, you know, too low, it's not going to get any light on it because my beauty dish is pretty tight, right? You can use the modeling light, you know that for me. You can use the modeling light on the light to see it better if you'd like. You want to maybe put it on the C-stand and put it on this? So this is a flag. This is not the proper use of a flag, but that's what we got. Plus, the more equipment you use, the more you get paid, right? So why would I use a clamp when I can use a flag? So we're going to use the flag as like a little table, and we're going to rest our reflector on it. You could have the model hold it, but at the same time, you know, that's good for a quick test, but when you're shooting, you should put stuff on stands. Seth gave us a clamp, also available in Brooklyn. Okay. Brooklyn, New York, not like Brooklyn, Utah. What? Yep.
Why not
Uh-oh.
the silver?
Oh, yeah, right. Why not use a silver reflector?
Instead of using a white light? Is it more specular?
So the question is, why am I not using a silver reflector? Well, or what would be the difference of a silver? Yeah, so yeah, a silver reflector is going to give me more light. Number one, it's going to bounce more light up, but it also will be more specular because it's silver. I don't think we need it. I think white's going to be enough. We'll try silver if I think we have that little silver disc, right?
Yeah.
Or is that gone? Yeah, we could try silver. Just why not, right?
They're asking if you could just use without an arm a softbox instead of stand.
Yeah, I mean, so the question is, can you not use an arm? Well, no. I mean, as I said before, the more equipment you use, the more you get paid. But sure, if you would like to get paid less, oh my God, Seth's throwing stuff at me over here. So sparkly. Yeah, you could just, the trick is just to get it in the center. So using a softbox is a good option for that because you could take your softbox and go horizontal with it and kind of back it right next to the lens, and you could kind of get it in a similar position. Sure. So that's another option. You don't have to use a beauty dish. I'm just using it because, well, it's beauty photography. How do you not use a beauty dish? I mean, you know, it's like right in the name, right? It's like they named it beauty dish. I think somebody has a softbox that they call a beauty box. And I actually think it's an umbrella. Anyways, Google that. Might be brown color, yep.
It's just a classical beauty dish.
Good. So that's going to give us a little bounce. We can see. Now, to be honest, I don't like it. Why? What's happening here is, right? Well, obviously my angle's different. All that fill is killing the shadows, and the shadow is what's narrowing her face and giving it the drama, right? I'm losing the drama with the fill, right? Silver is, we can actually move it down a bit. Yeah, that would be the answer. Silver would probably make it even more. So we'll, also for some reason she got shorter. That happens. Malls are constantly growing and shrinking on you. So by the way, because I get a lot of questions about why I use a tripod all the time, and like this is why. I can just hang stuff on it. I can walk away, drink my coffee, right? All right, ready? Good, perfect. All right, so we come over here. It has nothing to do with stability. Oh, that's better. Okay, there we go. Nice. So again, that's there. I still like the darker one better, but if you're trying to be safe, right? Because we can always come in to our curves. Where's the curves on this here, right? Or our levels or any of these things, and like tweak out if I want to bring it back, right? Because if I shoot it flatter, right, then I have the room to move if I want to darken it up. Whereas if I shoot it overly contrasty, I'll have to go and bring my shadows up, and your shadows are where the noise is. So you got to kind of decide what's better for you in your certain situation. I think for the drama, for editorial, I definitely would go with no fill and just keep it reflector. But let's just throw silver in there just because. You paid your 10 cents to get here, so we'll show you which one. All right, we got silver reflector in there. Bam, 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 boom. Did nothing. So there you go, silver reflector does nothing. I don't think it's catching any light for some
It
reason.
is actually, but
Oh, it actually is. Oh, I see it's below the shadow though.
yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. You can actually see too, it's changing the color of her neck a little bit. Not a lot.
But it is.
But it's
filling
cooling
in
it, yeah.
That area, because this
Yeah.
was black.
Yeah. This might be the best solution. This guy knows what he's doing, right here. Free camera. No, I don't.
Go back to the other picture.
Oh, you don't believe him? You're calling him out. He's calling him out. He's like, no, that's not the best.
Banding.
Wow, he's like, boom. All right, so here we go. That's the white. She obviously doesn't like that. You can tell by her expression. And then that's nothing. And again, it kind of depends on where you want to be. Ultimately, the one all the way to the left is the one I like the best. I like the hard shadow, but the deep shadow, I should say. But if you want to be safe, you know, especially if you have clients around, stuff like that, you know, you're almost never a bad idea to. It's so interesting. I think because of the nature of it being round, it like changed the shape of the reflector. You knew that was going to happen. By the way, we talked about this before you guys came. We had it planned. All right. That's it. He's the front row. He's watching. Now, the other thing we can do, and we often do, is we use a grid on our beauty dish. So let's just see what that'll do for us. So a grid is it's similar to a pizza. You don't want to eat it. It'd be one very expensive pizza, I'll tell you that right now. So what it does is, and you can probably see it, it narrows the spread of light, right? This is a honeycomb grid, because it looks like honeycombs. Not the cereal.
Cereal is good.
Yes.
This also will not be hitting the hook.
Yeah, this is probably not going to hit our reflector at all. That's the first thing that's going to change. We're narrowing our spread from about 120 degrees to about 25. So I doubt this is going to do anything anymore. She can like put her lunch there. It's not going to matter. It is also going to eat up some of our light, right? So I'm in manual right now. So when I take a shot, we'll see. It's going to be dark. Right? So we ate a little bit of light. Again, I could go TTL again if I wanted. But I think I'm just going to add power because I know roughly it takes about a stop and a half. So I'm just going to go up a stop and a half. Take another shot. That's a smidge too bright. Split the difference. Perfect. All right, so quick enough, easy enough. This is one reason why I like to shoot tethered, because I can take a really quick look at it and see what's going on. Now the grid has narrowed that beam. It brought back in that dark shadow, and it actually even made her cheekbones even more punchy, because grids often add a little bit of contrast as well. So let's actually shoot a good one, so she can use this on Tinder. Good. All right. So once you're set up, you can shoot a few. She'll send that one. That'll be like our Christmas card. All right. Cool. Questions about that? Simple enough, right? If we wanted, now you can see with the grid, we're getting like no light on the background practically, right? So we can light the background if we want, because using more equipment, we charge more, right? So we have another light. That's a D2. So the D2 is basically part of the same system. Oh, is that on the right channel and stuff? I didn't even check it. Should be channel 2C, I guess is what it should be. The D2 is like the plug-in light, but it's part of the same Profoto kind of monolight chain. It's technically not part of the same thing because the other one is an OCF light, and this is a not OCF. Yeah, it's no. I don't know what it's called. I won't say the wrong thing again because then people make fun of me. But it's like a studio. It's on monolights. When I had to register the thing, I had to like find them in different sections. That's how I know them. All right. So, anyways, questions? Making sense so far? Yes.
You had said or mentioned before about it's better to shoot with longer lens for beauty shots.
Yeah.
What's like the average long lens that's optimally used for?
Okay, so I mentioned longer lenses are good. What's the average lens? I think a lot of people like to use 85s. They're pretty popular, the 85 primes. My favorite lens is 135. If I have a prime, I like that length. It's like a good focal length, I think. And it's roughly where I am right now. There's also a beautiful 180 that Canon makes, and Nikon has a beautiful 200. I think Canon also has a beautiful 200. Sony has lenses.
You're changing your background, change your exposure.
Oh, so will changing my background change my exposure? No, it should not. It might affect it if I was in TTL because the TTL would compensate that there's a light back there. But I'm not going to, since I like where Emily's at right now, I don't want to mess around with it. So I'm not going to put it back in TTL. I'm just going to turn that light on. Is it in C, Dave? Yeah, okay. I'm actually going to turn the modeling light on. There it is. Oops. Well, it's not very bright, so I'm not going to turn it on. It must be, there we go.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty tight grid. Okay.
It is very tight grid.
All right. I'm just going to take a shot and see what happens. Again, oh wow, it's brighter than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so what's that at, 4.5?
Yeah.
All right, so, because it's so close to the wall.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill the modeling light. I'm going to go down 2 stops, 3 stops even, and I'll get a better composition now. I'm going to change my composition because I want to make sure that, because the grid's so particular that I want to make sure I'm getting the right shot. So, good. Here we go. Now, there we go. Nice. Now, one thing, oh, that actually worked out pretty well. One thing that's interesting here is I am cutting off the top of her head a little bit. That's because the beauty dish is actually in the shot. So if I want to get more of her head, we got to raise it a smidge, maybe like 2 inches. So let's do that. That probably shouldn't affect the exposure too much at all. Maybe I'll bring it up 1/10 of a stop just for the heck of it. So far it's about the beauty dish, but we are going to switch to another modifier as soon as I get this shot. There we go. Now I got her whole head in the shot, right? We can play around with it. Let's do one where you're just straight onto the camera so I can get the good shape of the light for everybody. Perfecto. Chin up a little bit.
See the light
Right there.
shot in that?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's out now though.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. All right. Classic, simple beauty dish, done, right? Now, one thing that, so now the thing that I like to use a lot for beauty, and this starts getting a little bit risky depending on the person's facial features and their shape, is a Magnum reflector. So the Magnum reflector is, it basically, well, first of all, it's named after that PI from the Magnum PI, Tom Selleck. I don't know if that's true or not, but it could be. A lot of times used for sports and stuff, it basically is designed to amplify the light and throw it really far. It's very, very, very punchy and very specular. So this can be really interesting on some people. Ideally, you want to use this on a light that has the a dome. You'll get a little bit more functionality out of it, but it should work like this, no problem.
Are you still on TTL or manual?
Right now I'm in manual, but I will switch back to TTL before I start.
So you like 11?
I'm shooting at f8. But this one goes to 11. That's fine, I'll tap it. Okay, so, boom, had to make the reference, I'm sorry, it had to happen. All right, so. Oh, this is interesting. 1 second. Okay, so Daniel had the flash exposure compensation on his camera set to overexpose by a stop and a half, which was also why the TTL was so far off. It was actually, this is now straight TTL, dead on. So there you go. What does that tell you? Check your settings before you do a live stream in front of Adorama. But yeah, I had this flash exposure compensation set. This is pretty nice. So you can see it even narrows our face even more. I think I'm actually going to go to 200 if I can.
Yeah, that looks great.
Not bad, right? Did I just sell the Magnum reflector there? You going to buy one? All right. Come on, I get 5%. I wish. Okay. All right, so nice. Good, good, good. Here we go. So now I'm just in straight TTL. That's at 200. I kind of want to be a little taller. And this is actually smaller than the beauty dish, so I can get a little taller without it being in the shot. Good, good, good. Yeah, there we go. Shooting down at her is a little nicer, right? Pushing that. Now, just to show you, that's a 200. Let me just go to 70 for a second, even though we just did this Monday.
We're gonna move the backlight.
Well, that's fine. I'm just going to do it for one shot. I might not even be able to get close enough to frame it up the same. Well, this is going to be close, but it's not exactly the same framing. Oh, actually, I don't think the lens can focus that close. No, I'm closer than it can focus. Okay. There we go. Nope, still. Wow, okay. There we go. So, I mean, obviously you're,
Oh, you went back to TTL.
yeah, well, I was in TTL before. So anyways, you can see the shape of, let me just drop the exposure because I don't want to sit on this too long.
TTL's reading that back spot too.
Yeah, because now there's too much background in the shot. You can see though the shape of her head and her ears especially. You see how they. So the longer lens is definitely keeping a better, more compression, which we definitely like better. So let me go back. Yeah, I've been in TTL. I think I was showing a lot more of the gray background because of my position there. So again, it pumped up that backlight a bit. So let's see if we can get our exposure back where it was. One good thing to do with these lights is once you're set up, for exactly that reason, switch. I think I have I have some compensation on there, right? So right now I'm at, it's a 500 watt second light in front, and I'm at 3.3. So I don't know the exact watt seconds, but that's probably like less than 100 watt seconds coming out of the front light. And the back is a 1,000 watt second light around the same. So it's probably like about maybe 200 watt seconds, 150 watt seconds, something like that.
I'm gonna go up 210 or something like that.
Okay.
You're asking about talking to the model as far as where it goes up.
Right. Okay. So Dave's adjusting the light slightly. Any questions before I get into that? You don't know what I'm going to get into because you just told me. You know because you're in the front row.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the Magnum reflector. Again, pretty simple, pretty nice, right? That way, when you go to shoot beauty photography and like everybody uses a beauty dish, you can be like, well, I use a Magnum reflector. All right. Right, then you'll be cool. Question? No. All right, here we go. Let me just get a shot, make sure it looks good, and then we're going to talk a little bit. So one thing that's questions come up online is interaction with the model. I prefer to chastise and yell at the model as much as possible by making them feel very insecure about themselves. That usually works best. So what I generally do is I look through my camera like this and I kind of try to manipulate her position with kind of hand gestures. You probably see me do that a lot. Essentially, when you start talking about turn to the left, turn to the right, like you always screw that up because they're facing the wrong way. It's like that's just, and then it creates, you lose this moment. So they're looking right at you, right? You're right here, right? And they're looking at you. So I usually just kind of, well, we usually talk about it a little bit. Like she's obviously was paying attention when I said to have her chin up because of the light, those kind of things. And what I'll generally do is give models, whoa, what happened there?
Are you still on TTL?
Yeah, you jump with the
You turned, yeah,
Yeah, why did I do that though?
because you're on TTL.
Right, but that was before though. Oh, because you're touching the power. Yeah. Okay. So it reset itself. There you go. Good. Let's see. I think 3 point. Yeah, there we go. Is that right? That's right. Okay. So essentially, what we want to do is give her a general idea. I feel like I'm trapped here. You want to give her a general idea of or him, of what you're going for. We're working chin up towards the light. It's a beauty shot. This is much as in the shot. And then let them work through it. I mean, it's digital, you know? You just got to kind of, what I don't usually do is show people pictures. I know that if you watch videos online, people will tell you to do the following things that I never do. Show people pictures, never. Let them look in a mirror while I'm shooting, never. You know? That's very, very, what you want is to have them in the moment, right? If they're looking in a mirror that's over here, they're not looking at what the camera sees, right? They don't see that the lights pop in the shot sometimes, but. So we need to just like be in communication with your model, and as we're shooting, you know, we're just kind of working it like that. I think we should lower that light because it's totally in the shot. Can we get lower with it or no? Every time I get her at a good angle, it's in the shot. So my white balance is set on flash because I'm using a flash, exactly. Yeah. It is a good idea, like I said earlier, to use a color card if you can, if you're actually doing this for a commercial project, because you want to be able to have accurate color, at least know what it is. So yeah, so we're basically, I'm just letting her work through it. If I see something I like or to change, then I'll adjust her slightly. But you know, let the model have a little freedom. Once you get your basic shot set, what you don't want to do is keep stopping, right? That's like key. Key is to keep going. So it's more important to shoot a few bad ones and not worry about it than it is to stop every time and be like, "Ugh," you know. If you're shooting with like a 4x5 view camera, all right, stop them every time. But if you're shooting with digital, just, you know, work through it, get a rhythm going, you know. Sometimes if it's very particular what I'm looking for, I'll shoot a bunch and then we'll stop and look at them all together on the computer. And I might say, yeah, you see how it looks nice when you're, you know, looking like that. Like, and I'll be like, this is kind of what we want to go for. Do something like that, you know, and then they can work through that that pose. But that's pretty much how I do that. Questions about that? It's pretty easy, right? The Magnum was almost too easy. Cool, we're cranking. So now, yes?
Is the reflector doing anything? Because the Magnum is not hitting the reflector. The reflector on the lab.
The light is
I don't know if it's hitting it much. Let's take it out to sea. I think it's probably getting a little bounce off of it. You're saying this?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's hitting it. I'm not really sure. I don't think it's hitting it very much. We can take it out.
you can
It must be a little bit because you can see the reflection there.
It's a subtle smooth.
Yeah, just a little bit is just touching it. And because of the specularity of it, I mean, my feeling is once you put something like that in, I just leave it because there's no reason to take it out.
What would you raise it?
What if I would raise it? Well, when we had it raised earlier, it didn't look good. So it'll probably also not look good. We could try it. Let's raise it. Let's take a, it's good to see some options.
But it does give her a catch light.
Yeah, and a catch light. She's all about the catch lights because normally she has dead eyes. We call her Emily of the dead eyes. Dead eye Emily. Okay. Good. Right. So yeah, it's a little bit more. Yeah, see, I don't really like it. I think it's because the light is so hard, right? And then the shadow's so filled in, it just looks weird. Like there's like this weird, like it looks like she's wearing a scarf or something. So you have to kind of watch that. Yeah.
What's the difference with the Magnum dome, I guess? What is it called?
Magnum?
The Magnum versus the beauty dish. What was the difference in the light?
So the difference between a Magnum and the beauty dish, well, besides the Magnum being cooler, the beauty dish is bigger, so it's going to be softer, right? The Magnum also amplifies the light, so you actually get more output from it. So I'll often use it, especially if the light has to be far away. You'll literally get more light out of it. It's designed for that. It gives you a little more focusability. It is a little bit less even when you get in close. So that's a trade-off that I use sometimes to affect, you know, where it'll be a little hot, especially when you focus it, when you have a dome on there. You can make it hotter in one spot then fall off, where the beauty dish generally is very flat. The whole point of a beauty dish is to make it flat. That's like kind of the part of it. You can also put a grid on a Magnum. I do not have the grid, so I can't do it, which then makes it very, very tight. It'd probably just light her face at this point. What's that? Did it hold that up? I could do that. Thanks, Seth. What's up? This is not the authorized pro photo way to do this, though. Can you hold that for me, Dave?
Sorry, man.
No, it works. Why not? Listen, anything you can do to make.
Pizza boxes.
All right. So at this point, we've got. We know that the grid eats a little bit of light, so I'm going to increase the power by stopping a third. And let's see what this looks like. Identical. Didn't do anything. It made it brighter. Actually, it didn't. I think the reason why it didn't make that much of a difference, although it does look like it didn't hit the reflector as much. Let me see.
Yeah, you darken the shadow
One more time with the grid.
with it.
Yeah. Actually, I'll do 2 in a row, so don't move, Emily. With. Without. Yeah. Not much of a difference. But that's probably because it's not the right grid. The right grid's going to go inside. The right grid is shaped a certain way. The Magnum grid is actually like really thick. It's like about 2 inches thick, so it's just a different kind of grid. Would I use a kicker light and beauty is one of the things that's been asked. Sure, you can. It depends on the style you're going for. You know, in this particular case, I like it kind of going dark to the back. It gives a nice separation with her being kind of blondish today, blondish. But yeah, you certainly could do that. You could blast the back of her head with the light if you'd like. It's a certain style. Actually, maybe we'll do like something with a little bit of like a cooler light in a second. But let's do the umbrella first because I'm set up for it already. So the third thing that I use a lot for beauty that I think is really nice is an umbrella. So I have the. It's not even raining today, but I have this is a 41-inch deep umbrella. So this is going to give us a lot more spread of light, right? But it is still silver, so it's still going to be specular. So we're just going to basically bounce the light into this. Maybe for this we'll give a kicker. But we'll start this way. So this is, again, larger. Larger equals softer. So a couple of things. We could even back it up, right, to keep it smaller if we wanted to, because moving something further away will make it smaller, which will then give us more, like it'll change our ratios between Emily and the background, which will then make the background brighter. Or we can just use it to get more of her in the shot, or to use the reflector more effectively, or many different things. Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of umbrellas. They're really versatile. Cool. All right. Yeah, that should be pretty good. Let me jump into TTL. I'm going to jump back into TTL. It does. See how my luck is today with TTL.
Maybe angle it down a little more.
Yeah, so turn my flash exposure compensation off. Okay. I'm actually going to turn off the backlight as well. This is going to be just the umbrella, similar thing. Okay, so that's just the umbrella. That's pretty nice. Now we can see already, I mean, obviously the reflector's in there. It's scooping up a lot more light from the reflector. It's definitely a lot more. In fact, what we might want to use in this one, and obviously you can see the background's much brighter. What we might want to use in this one is negative fill. Because why always be positive? Sometimes you got to be negative. So again, if you remember, when we used the reflector earlier and we thought it was too much because it made her face a little too round, well, we can replace the white reflector with a black card and move it in underneath, and that will help darken that shadow a smidge. It's not like it's not going to make it nearly what it was in the other shot, but it should help bring that back a bit. Okay, let me look. Yeah, that's good. It's not in. All right, so let's just see what that does. There we go. Right? So now we got the big umbrella, and we're using the black card. And of course, not using a regular fill, so it's giving us, it's narrowing up again, giving us that nice dark, right?
You're saying Gavin Hoey rules,
Gavin Hoey does rule, and you know he's going to be here next week.
so it's target
So yeah, on the
Tuesday.
next Tuesday, Gavin Hoey is going to be here. It's super exciting. The 24th. So make sure you guys come for that. That's going to be fantastic.
And it's live.
And we're going to live stream it. So there might be some surprises. So questions about this before we try to do something funkier? That was pretty easy, right? So you see that with all the modifiers, you can get pretty similar. You know, each one has their own kind of like flavor, but with a little adjustment, you can actually get your shot to be more or less this. Right now, this is just one light, by the way. If we want to use a kicker, because we talked about that, maybe give her a little kicker. We don't often kick Emily, but we like soccer. So what else is going on while he sets that light up? What's going on, Seth? On the 25th. Oh, next week is going to be crazy. Oh. Okay. Monday. Well, you don't know about that, so I won't tell you about my personal life. But on Tuesday, Gavin Ho is going to be here. That's going to be amazing. On Wednesday, we're doing a critique. So if you guys haven't signed up for that, you can go to adorama.com/events, and Seth will tell you how terrible your photos are. I'm super nice. But then on Thursday next week, we're not going to be here live. We're going to be at Photo Plus. So I'm going to run around Photo Plus. Seth's going to come with me and Dave, and we're going to like harass the vendors and stuff. So look for that. We'll be on YouTube, I guess. No, Instagram. On Adorama's Instagram story. Check it out on next Thursday because we're going to be crazy. Yeah, it's going to be a good week. Yes.
You did a video
I did.
using the ProPhoto A1 with Outdoor.
I did.
Are you going to be doing a demo of that using the A1 here with the other ProPhoto lights, like with the B1?
Right, so the question is, are we going to do a ProPhoto A1 demo with mixing it with the other lights? Yes. As soon as Cliff gives me the light again, I will do that. When they gave it to me on the launch day, I did have another light, but they didn't show me how to use it at all, so I was kind of working it, but we didn't do too much with it. But yeah, I will do a full demo where we use it, mixed with the other lights.
I'd really love to see.
Yeah, no, me too. They keep handing it to me for a second, then taking it away.
Alice Bernoz is asking, which modifier do you recommend with red light color gels?
Oh, hey Al. So what modifier to put colored gels on there? I mean, it depends. We're using a grid right now because that's what we have. We're just working with what we got. Normally when I do rims or kickers, I like to use 1x3 strip banks. So whatever attaches it to the bank, you can just tape it inside, really. On the ProPhoto lights, they make that little gel holder. On speed lights, they make little gel holders. But a 1x3 strip I like is my favorite for a kicker. But the grid works. Dave can make it work. We have faith in Dave. Yeah, and maybe you can even work slightly this way. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Got a little three-dimensionality, right? Kickers are always good for that. So that's with the grid. I think it's a 20-degree grid. This is the grid that goes onto the D2. Unfortunately, I don't have any gels right now, right? Do we have gels? No, sorry. I don't have all my stuff with me. Does anybody have a gel on them? No? All right. Other questions? Yes.
If we had the beauty dish with the grid on, then that background would just be black.
Mm-hmm. Was it?
It would be.
I think so. Oh, you mean right now?
If instead of the umbrella we had the beauty
Oh, right the second? Yeah, yeah. If we put the beauty dish with the grid on there, and then we didn't light the background, it would have gone black
the
or
way
close
it
to
is
black.
now. Yeah.
You want to see that? That's what you're asking for.
No, I can
He's
fix
like being subtle about it. He's like if we happen to go past McDonald's, you know, I could get a burger, right? Yeah. I gotcha. We'll do it.
They're also asking about feathering light as opposed to shooting it right now.
What?
They're asking about feathering the light as opposed to shooting it right now.
Oh, so feathering the light. I mean, I personally like to keep the light centered, so you don't really need to feather it when you're. I mean, you could kind of feather it up, I guess. Is that what the question is? I'm not really sure I understand the feathering. Usually I feather softboxes a lot. Umbrellas, I generally point directly at the subject, but just the nature of the beast. You could, by feathering, I mean using kind of the edge of the light. It's also useful, like let's say we needed to get some fill with this beauty dish and we were bouncing it. You could kind of feather it past the subject to kind of bounce it off in front of them. We can do that in a second, actually. Do that a lot with really small sources.
They're also asking about how to get better light in the eyes because she's a little dark in the shadow.
Better light in the eyes. I'm not sure I understand what that means. The eye looks pretty well lit. The one thing that you will see though is that it's relatively dark in here. So her pupil is big, right? In order to get really kind of light eyes or get the light into the eyes, one trick is to be in a brighter space. Brighter space will make the pupil really tiny, will make the color come out in the eyes. So that's one trick to that, if that's what you mean. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of black. I mean, there's definitely light in her eye. So, I mean, there's a little bit of shadow here. But you could also relieve that if somebody had deep eye sockets and you wanted to get more light in the eyes, you could do that with another light instead of a reflector. Like you'd actually use a fill light from the bottom, AKA, go ahead. What do they call that? When there's two lights.
Clamshell.
Clamshell, that's right. There we go. Good. I like you. You guys are good. It's like Pac-Man, right?
Make sure you get 255 white point.
Oh, how do I know that? Well, basically, the 255 thing, you can, I'm in capture one. Oh, well, that's striking.
Oh, you took
Well done, sir. Well done. All right, so let's say over here we're in the highlight. If we want to make sure we're not losing detail, because let's say we don't really like terrible, like blown out highlights in our backlights, or maybe we do like it. So I'm in capture one. You can see up here, let me make the thing really biggie. See up there? There's numbers out there. Okay, so if I take my pointer and I go over any parts that are white, I can look at those numbers and make sure they're not 255. As long as they're not, that means that there's some detail there. This probably does have some blown out white points if I get really precise in it, but it's fine. I mean, for this, I don't care that that's a little blown out, although it's not actually.
Yeah, it's not clipping.
Yeah, it's not clipping.
What might be clipping though would be the reflection in the eye.
Yeah, the reflection in her eyeball.
Even that.
I got a detail in this white. Come on.
We got a blast. Can we blind you with the light for a second?
Yeah, even that word.
So this is actually pretty mean, and we don't do this anymore because, you know, they treat models nice now. They used to be mean to models back in the day.
They're also asking about a sock on the beauty dish.
We could put a sock on the beauty dish. The thing about that is, so if I take, I'm gonna blind you. Okay. So if I blast this light in her eyes, so you're getting ready, Dave? Well, I know it's in the shot. I'm gonna move it when you get ready. You ready? You ready?
I'm gonna just go ahead and focus. Okay.
Right? So what's gonna happen here is, you see how much bigger the green is in her eyes?
It focused on there.
Yeah, it's okay. But you see with the idea. And also, by the way, this also creates a little bit of like a teary eye, which can add some three-dimensionality to it. It has a certain look, you know, I mean, you definitely can do that. If you're just in a bright space by its nature, it will just happen automatically. But you can also just turn a light on. What you want to do, because the models don't want you to shine a light in their eye, Emily's crazy, so she lets me do stuff, is you go, oh, I'm getting old, I need a light to focus, and then you kind of put a bright light there, and then they don't know. That's how you do that. There you go. Just talk to that secret. Don't tell anybody. Okay, cool. Questions? Thoughts? Concerns? No, you're down. You got it down. You just got here and you have no idea what's going on. Okay, though. Okay, so there was another question though. Somebody asked about something. Oh, the sock. Okay, so the sock on the beauty dish will make it more diffuse. However, if you put a sock over a grid, you basically kill the point of the grid. So you usually don't use them together. If you wanted to do that, you could put diffusion behind the grid. So what I often do, this is not my beauty dish, so I didn't do it for this one, is you take a sheet of diffusion, you buy diffusion, you set the grid on top of it, and you just cut a circle, and you put it behind, and you'll be good to go. You can also jam the sock behind it, but the sock is like $100, and to rip the sock would be terrible. So don't do that. Yeah, that's the sock. We do have a sock for the umbrella, but I don't think we needed it. It looked good without the sock. If you want to see the sock, 3 o'clock. That's what we're going to do. Facebook on 3 o'clock. We're going to stream on Facebook at 3 o'clock. After that, we're going to stream on Tinder, and no, Twitter, wherever you stream, Instagram.
Wherever it
We're just streaming all over the place. No, we're going to stream at 3 o'clock on Facebook. I think we're good. All right, so let's try one other quick thing. Let's say this is all very conventional, but since we have 5 minutes, and Daniel likes to do this stuff really fast at the end, let's do what I love to do, which is a profile shot. So we'll do something a little more dramatic. So if we take our beauty dish and maybe come from here with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will kill the.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll lose this. This is also good if you're like playing music. You can like set it here, and there's a lot of uses for this. Okay. All right, so we're gonna put this from one side. I will do the other light. Actually, I guess we'll put the beauty dish on this side, Dave, because oh no, the cord's long enough. I got it. So I'm gonna basically do. This is going to be, I think, on. Actually, let's be unconventional. Why not, right? You like that. I'm gonna use this as the key light, so I'm gonna put this on her grill, or her face. There we go. That's me not being patient. Isn't that what happened to Moses? Oh yeah, look at that. Modeling light. Okay, so that's gonna be really tight on her, and you're gonna be like, yep. There we go. And then that'll be like a backlight or a kicker. Yeah, that's good.
What's the power on that?
It's, I don't know. Dave asked me the power and I was gonna make it. What's the power on that? 10? Oh, holy schmoly, no way. We don't want that, that's for,
That's, is it really?
Yeah.
10 on the modeling light or 10 on the,
no, it's 10 on the modeling light probably.
yeah, that can't be 10 on the splash.
Well, I think I turned it up when I was doing it.
25.
Well, you just use the TTL.
And then this guy.
I'm just gonna TTL it. I like to live dangerously. There we go. Oh yeah, exactly what I thought was gonna happen. Okay, so I'm gonna go to manual, and I'm gonna drop it 3 stops. Good, good, good. Again, I'm shooting into her shadow side. There we go. See, my point of focus is right on the shadow on her cheek. That's why I basically completely blew it out. I think I might go horizontal here. For one. I like to go horizontal. It's good for Facebook. Intender? No, I think it's square on Tinder. Seth has all the specs for that. Okay, good. We'll bring your chin up a tiny bit right there. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. All right, so we got small light source, kind of specular. We're getting some shine. It's tiny, tiny, tiny bit too dark, right?
It is, yeah.
So I'm gonna bring C, which is my key light, up.
That looks like the cover of Metal Gear. The last Metal Gear. It's Phantom Pain.
I don't know what that is, but I'll say that's a good thing. If it looks at the cover of anything, except for the time we did that food photography shoot, and it was like the worst stuff. Do you remember what I'm talking about? We like reshot all the food photography packaging. There we go. All right, I'm gonna come a little lower. Bring your chin up a smidge.
No red though.
Yeah, well, that's weird.
Well, that's we don't have a gel. You have a gel for me? Gel.
Gels are right by Dave.
You can do it.
I don't know if I have time to do that right now.
Yeah, this is no longer a true beauty shot. Sorry. Actually, though, that's pretty good. Just turn your face slightly towards me. Back, right there. Looking straight ahead. Let me see what that looks like. Oh, interesting. Okay. Now I'm too low. Somewhere I'm going to find that right spot. It's pretty cool. I'm just a tiny bit dark. I think you're right.
Maybe they both need to come up like 210s or 3 stuff.
All right, I'm going to do the overall flash exposure compensation, which is what got me in trouble last time. Testing. Oop. There we go. There we go. A little bit more. What's that? Oh yeah, thank you. Cool. All right, that's pretty cool. But you know what we have? As Seth reminded me, I have this crazy wide lens. And you know, what looks better that's not beauty at all. This is what they call opportunistic. I want to shoot with this lens. I have a free model. She's sitting right here. She doesn't know it's not part of the thing, right? What is she? Oh, well. So this is a Irix or Irix. Thank you. I'll have to ask them on Friday what we used it on Monday. This is really fun. 15 millimeters. So I'm going to go right up into her grill. See what we got. Some of my best pictures are the inside of lens caps.
Make sure the shades are right. You can see it.
Yeah, or we just take it off.
Oh yeah, we got the shade on backwards. Dave was throwing me some shade.
Across
There we go.
That could look nice.
Oh. Emily, what big eyes you have. Oh, yeah. That's actually pretty cool. It's a tiny, let me take it, bring it.
Harry Potter thing.
Like a goblin?
Yeah.
That thing with the sock. What is that?
Yeah, that was a goblin. Or a house troll or something. Why isn't that fucking? So what I'm doing here to get the maximum, now, this is making her nose look bigger than it normally is. So I just want you to know that normally her nose doesn't look that big.
It's like a caricature. Of what
Yeah,
you
it's like a
get.
caricature of Emily. Oh, she wants to, ooh, okay. Well, she really will scream.
Or crazy eyes.
So what I'm doing here is, I'm just moving in and out. Oh, I think I was too far away at the top. Yeah, it's kind of cool too. Let me come a little bit lower. And remember, whatever's closer to the lens is going to be amplified. I got the light in the shot too to kind of have some interest. Oh, yeah, it's freaky. Yeah, turn towards this light slightly. Actually,
Crazy eyes.
Yep.
we'll do that. Oh, what happened? Oh, that's me blocking it.
When you're through the camera, you can't,
Am I still blocking her? No, there we go.
That's like waking up in the middle of surgery.
Yeah. And there we go.
Tell them what the lens is one more time.
All right, so this is a Irix or Irix IRIX 15 millimeter. So actually, if you're in town, you guys are all in town, you come to Photo Plus. I'm going to be speaking at their booth about how good it is, and that's why I'm using it right now, so I can actually see. So this is your witness to these. You're going to walk by me at Photo Plus and be like, "Hold on." So there you go. No, it's pretty cool though. I've been messing with it. I got to do some landscape stuff, but we started doing some fun. We decided to do some fun portraits with it. Yeah. Should we do? Let's spin you this way. This one. I'll block the light the whole time.
I've got a big enough nose already.
No, it'll make your nose small. I guarantee. Okay, here we go.
Halloween beauty shot for asking. You already moved the Halloween camera.
How's that kind of
That's actually not bad, right? It looks good on you. That's actually kind of fun. Can we bring this one? Can we do one more? Get this. No, you're good where you were. I'm just gonna need a little light on you. This is very, very precise.
Daniel's moved on from the beauty portraits to.
Oh yeah, what were we supposed to be doing? Oh, one more time. That's kind of interesting. I would love to get some light on that eye, though. Can you get the light on the eye, Dave, when I'm shooting this?
You're too close. You get that right side.
There you go. That's actually not unflattering on you.
The first one was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Did the modeling light have anything to do with the increase of light?
No. Did the modeling light affect the exposure at all? No. I only turned it on so we could see where it was. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so that was beauty photography. Well, hold on.
Yeah, get it back.
No. Right, there we go. Well, really this. Well, whatever. Here, there we go. So that was beauty photography. Thanks, guys. We are going to be back up at 3. But on Facebook, if you're watching online, or you could jump in your car and get here. It's not that long before we get here. We will do some other. Oh, unless you live far away, I suppose. Well, then come on Facebook at 3. Next week, nothing here from me on Thursday, but we are doing the critique on Wednesday at 6 or 7. 6. And on Tuesday, come see Gavin Hoey. That's going to be amazing. So I'll be there. What's that?
They can submit images.
Oh, and submit pictures if you want to be part of the critique, because again, Seth will tell you what it's like. He's very honest. Let's say he's honest. Thanks, guys.